own questions for Director Wray. He's actually stepped out of that hearing so he can talk with us. Republican Andy Biggs of Arizona sits on the House Judiciary Committee and has taken a break from the hearings to join us now. Congressman, I want to first start with, we learned, and we knew that he'd only been on the job for 4.5 months, but I'm curious to know what Americans should be watching for in this end and really what the goal is having him on the Hill today.
I think we should be watching for the way he answers the questions. Is he going to continue to divert to the IG or assert some kind of privilege? He specifically said he wasn't asserting any privilege, but he keeps referring everything to the Inspector General's investigation. And the key thing is, you heard over and over this morning as well, Congress has oversight. We're entitled to know whether you used the Fusion dossier to get FISA warrants to spy on Americans, particularly in the Trump campaign. These are very important, and we want to make sure he's not diverting attention, and we want him to be cooperative. The other aspect is, since we do have oversight, we want to know why is he delaying and dragging feet in producing the evidence that we've requested in Congress.
Yeah, interesting. Now, you have not had a chance yet to ask your questions, but some of those have been addressed. I have the letter that you sent along with Representative Matt Gaetz of Florida and Louis Gohmert of Texas. You had specific questions, and you just hit on one of the key ones with the dossier. Specifically, I understand, you sent this so they would have your questions already in front of them. And you want to know if the FBI actually had any money flowing for that anti-Trump dossier.
Absolutely right. It has been reported that after the DNC paid for it and the Hillary Clinton campaign paid for that dossier, that it was given to the FBI, and the FBI used some funds, some federal funds, to help pay for some of the expenses, turned it into a federal document, and then used that to get a federal FISA warrant to spy on the Americans. We want to know if they helped pay for it and what was the role of the FBI. We've received no answer to the letter yet. I'm hopeful that maybe we can get an answer. I'm not real hopeful, I should say, because I think he's going to divert it to the Inspector General again, but we are pushing on that issue because it's important.
Well, and I've heard you from watching this morning, and I want to point out, by the way, Representative Gaetz is actually questioning right now, so I know soon you will be up and you'll be able to follow through. But I heard on the evidence that you're waiting to see, that you feel like the FBI director is dragging his feet on, to put it in your words, that actually you have every right to see that. And there's not much, I mean, they can redact a little bit, but there's not much really that they can change, particularly with regard to the FISA requests that were made. I want to move on to another question that I thought was so interesting in your letter. Can you please define, and you would ask Christopher Wray this, the FBI director, the meaning of the word special as it pertained to their Hillary Clinton email investigation? Why is that important?
Well, but what happened here is they pulled this investigation back in-house to a small group. They said it's special, that it's going to be somehow unique. And they've had a small, special team doing this instead of a normal investigation. So we wanted to define that. Tell us what in the world they were thinking at the time. Now Christopher Wray probably can't give us full insight, but he can go back and find out the information, why they did this, how they deemed that, and give it to us.
Representative Biggs, you know what popped into my head? Does special mean special treatment? And the only reason I ask that is because we're finding out about that anti-Trump bias via this person who sent those anti-Trump text messages. By the way, we also learned today, and do you think you'll ask about this too? There's no discipline for that employee yet. They moved him over, this Peter Strzok, but there's no discipline. Do we anticipate that there would be?
That's a great question. That's one of the ones I want to get to. I actually highlighted that when the director said this was basically, he said this was not a disciplinary move.
Well, what
so what does it mean? Is that a lateral move then? Is it everything the same? And why did he not get a disciplinary move? Because you don't just move him on the basis of no reason to this lateral position where you're not investigating, you're not participating in any of the normal FBI agents' functions. Big question. I highlighted it. I think you're exactly right. That's one we want to attack as well.
You know, can I also ask about the president weighing in on the situation, calling the FBI in tatters? You know, as the American public watches, you know, we've been telling them of the 36,000 employees that exist at the FBI, and we're only talking about a few of them. They may be assigned to some very important investigations, but it is not in total the FBI. Does that kind of thing help illuminate, or is it just kind of, you know, on the sidelines from the president? How do you treat that going into a hearing like this?
Well, I just put it on the sideline. I think he's accurate, though, that the reputation, not of the whole FBI in and of itself, but of the higher level executives that are kind of involved in all of these political discussions, their reputation is in tatters, and it draws down on the entire agency. Are we seeing blind lady justice, or are we seeing political favors, special treatment, and does that denigrate the very reason for America's rule of law idea? This very idea that some people are treated specially. That is a huge problem, and I think that the only thing I saw here was that the Democrats kept hitting that over, and I think it's a red herring. What we really want to get to is actually what happened in these investigations, and that gets to the idea of politicization and special treatment.
Sure. I understand now, as you put it, that the word special can have a different context in all of this, and Americans get it. Special treatment is something that should not happen in any of the government agencies that we're talking about, but particularly the FBI. I have to let you get back in, because one of the gentlemen you wrote that letter with is about to wrap up. From the great state of Arizona, if you will, Congressman Andy Biggs stepping away from that important hearing with the FBI director to talk with Overtime. Thank you.